So you didn't go to any university in India. You went straight to the US for your undergraduate.
So I finished the 12th grade in India, in
Mm-hmm.
Calcutta. So I went to the same school from when I was 2 to when I was 18. And
Uh-huh.
then I went to study in the US. I went to college there, to a
Mm-hmm.
small liberal arts college. And they actually have a lot of study abroad opportunities. So they have
Okay.
good times, like a lot of colleges around the world. So I decided why not, and I
Yeah,
went to
yeah.
the UK because when I was younger, I was like set on the idea of going to the US, and I didn't
Mm,
even question it. So when
yeah.
I went to the US, I was like, okay, maybe I should like test it out and see, because it's kind of like testing the waters for what I would want to do later on, where I would want to do my masters, or where I like the education system better. So
Mm,
that's why I went there for a bit too.
brilliant. And you went to I've written down your entire LinkedIn profile. You went to is it called is it Beloit? Is that how you say it? In
Yeah,
Wisconsin?
that's like,
Yeah. Did
mhm.
you was that your first choice or did you apply anywhere else?
Yeah, it was my first choice. I guess I applied to a bunch of more schools, but
Hmm.
it ended up being there because I felt like I could connect with the people there even before going there in person.
Okay,
Because I
that's
was in
good.
India, I couldn't, yeah, because I was in India, I couldn't actually visit.
Yeah.
So I made a bunch of friends, like on their Facebook groups, and like talked to a bunch of faculty. And I don't know, it just kind of felt like the right fit for me.
Oh,
So
brilliant.
that's why I ended up going there.
It's the blessing of modern technology, isn't it? You can make friends before you've even met people.
Yeah,
Brilliant. And you were there for 3 years.
4 years.
4 years, okay. And you did. I like honestly, I love this psychology and creative writing. If that was a
Yeah,
thing in the if that was a thing in the UK, I would totally have done that. That sounds crazy.
yeah.
And I love. I mean, I did psychology obviously, but then I also love creative writing. So
Mhm.
how are those two? How did they combine those two, or were they sort of different? Were they sort of different
Okay.
majors?
Yeah, so schools like liberal arts schools, right? They combine, like they have something called an open curriculum. So
Hmm.
you get to pick whatever you want to study. You can study two different courses, two different subjects. You can make up your own like major. I know friends who have done like Chinese with Russian and international relations. You can
Mm,
just put together whatever you want to study.
yeah.
And that's another major reason I chose to go to the US when I was younger, because I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. Like I
Mm,
knew I wanted to do psychology for sure, but I also really loved literature. I loved
mm,
writing, I loved poetry. So I went there because I could do both of them together. And the fun part is that they have something called domain requirements in the US,
mm.
where there are certain like a writing class you have to take, a science class you have to take, that sort of thing. That you have to finish those requirements to get your degree. So I've ended up taking
Right.
all kinds of classes, history, sociology, logic. I guess it's good because I got an exposure like to a bunch of different things. So now I guess when I get a problem, I don't look at it from one perspective,
Mm.
because of my, I guess all round kind of education, I kind of can look at it from different perspectives, which I feel like is important.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I think that's also really important to be able to look at stuff from different perspectives. Um,
Mhm.
cool. So I also printed out your bio. Academic coursework on psychological disorders, how to treat them effectively, and cross-cultural application of psychotherapy that benefits clients from diverse backgrounds. That's very long and also very extremely interesting. Would you be able to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I guess, of course, because I am from India, I am not American. So when I went
Hmm.
there, I wanted to see, okay, how can I learn how to help people from everywhere out of this? Because I didn't want to, put my attention to like one kind of group of people.
Yeah.
The problem with psychology still remains in the world. The main problem is most of it is dominated by white females. A lot of it that I learned in the beginning when I went there was this, that all the psychologists were either like really old white men and now like white women mostly. So
Mm.
there wasn't all that much about like even like with the standardized ways of testing people and everything. For example, let's take the thematic apperception test. Like it's a projective test, right? And the cards may still not appeal to people from different backgrounds, because all of them are white characters on the card. So you may not get the same result out of someone who's from, like, let's say who's black or who's from South Asia, than
Mm.
you get out of someone who's white. So things like that, I
Yes.
started to think, I'm like, okay, I'm studying this, but does this even at the end of the day apply to me?
Yeah, very good point.
That kind of got me thinking that, okay, maybe I should do more like cross-cultural psychology classes. When I get the option to do papers, I would be like, okay, let me do something that has to do with application of this in some other country or with some other group, And I think,
Yeah.
most of it was my effort to like try and make a place for other identities in the field. I think that was my starting point for that.
Okay, that's fascinating. That's brilliant. So, and you also said, so you did, you mentioned in your email, you did a lot of lobbying for diversity and things like that. So what sort of things did you do?
Yeah, okay. So the biggest, I guess, thing that pushed me to do it was, for the first time ever in my life, I noticed that I was different.
Mm-hmm.
When you grow up, when you're born and you grow up in like a country where everybody looks like you never really notice that there's a difference between you and other people.
No, that's very true.
Yeah, so for the first time ever, I was in a place where like people were giving me labels. Like they were telling me that I'm this, or like, oh, you're like from an underprivileged background, or you're a minority. Like I'd never, like, Indians are a minority. Like, it's really strange to me.
This happened when you got to the US, did it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And honestly, even in the UK, I felt that like there were a lot of things that people like surprisingly didn't know. And I thought that I could do my bit by talking more about us, talking more about different backgrounds. Like, especially when you're in a small college, a lot of people don't want to pay attention to these things, like they don't want to understand, mostly because like they don't want to be called out for being for not knowing something. So I guess the best thing we could do was like put together groups, just sit like, and talk about these things, talk about what you know, talk about what you don't know. If you have a stupid question, Google it. If you don't understand still, you can ask me, kind of attitude,
Yeah.
Try to do some research projects and stuff to add like more diverse literature to the curriculum. I added like more of, even my creative writing classes, like apart from psychology, I tried to write more about where I come from. So that's like at least a starting point, now people will know more about people like me at this school. And probably the next person who goes there won't feel like they're not understood. That's, I guess, how I feel like with psychology.
Yeah, that's so brilliant. That's such an amazing thing to do, because I think one of the main issues surrounding things like this is just lack of knowledge, and so sort of going out there and educating people and just doing that, I think is really amazing. Yeah.
And especially when it comes to not knowing something, I guess people tend to get very defensive.
Yeah,
so,
of course. Yeah.
That's one thing that psychology taught me, is like how to approach situations like this, where the other person gets defensive.
Yeah, completely.
Maybe not preach, but try and like explain or show your viewpoint or use a story kind of approach. Maybe that'll work better in situations like
absolutely. And I think people don't like being told that they're wrong, and I think being able to accept sort of like correction or knowledge from someone else is really important, and because people will respect you more if instead of getting defensive you say, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know that, or thank you for educating me or something. I feel like it's a much nicer thing to do, and people respect you for that. Yeah, they respect you for being open-minded. Yeah. So would you like to talk a little about well, I'd quite like to know what sort of stuff you like writing about in regards to creative writing, because I'm a writer myself, so I'm quite interested.
I love that. I love putting together writing and psychology. When I was younger, it was my dream. I was like, okay, I want to understand how history works, and I want to learn how psychology works, because I wanted to write like historical fiction. That was always like my thing, but that changed slowly, and my creative writing became more non-fiction. So I started to write like journalistic pieces and stuff. And very recently, I realized the like how fun it is to write about your own life, or write
Oh, it
about your
is,
own
yes.
opinion, or write about like simple things that you feel and you notice around you. And it was amazing. I didn't realize, but I think that was the most fun I've ever had writing. So
Mm,
um, I've written pieces about my travel to the UK. Most of it was about how, like, okay, I'm from India. It's common knowledge that India was colonized. So one piece was like me kind of exploring how much of the UK, how much of the English I still have in me. Like
mm.
maybe I would have been different if that would have never happened. But how am I? How am I
Yeah,
now? Like it was really cool to see, like because I was in Northern Ireland, like another place that dealt with colonization. I could kind of like put two and two together and see how different the people were. I just really liked writing about like historical topics, putting it together with my life somehow.
yeah. Did you write for any like like magazines or anything at university? Did you publish anything?
Yeah, so I think the most fun I've had is my college. And it's another fun part of being at a small like college is that we have a fiction journal. It's like a publication. It's a good publication that goes out all over America, even the world sometimes. It's called Beloit Fiction Journal.
Uh-huh.
So we actually sit on like the students in the class are the editorial board for the fiction journal. So I was in that class and I was basically co-editor of the journal. That was one of the coolest experiences I've ever had. Because even before I
Brilliant.
could write for a publication, I was on the editing side. So I guess now I understand better like what people want to see, what people want to read,
Yeah,
what resonates
absolutely.
with.
Yeah, that's really it's really great to be on both sides because you get to be a writer, but then you also get to see what other people do and
Mhm.
how to edit. Because sometimes it's interesting when you're looking at someone else's writing and editing it and then being able to apply that to your own writing. Yeah. So what are you doing? So you came back from the US a few weeks ago, you said. So
Yes.
what are your plans now?
So I've been basically job hunting very
Mm.
vigorously since I came back. My initial plan was to go to graduate schools to get a master's
Uh-huh.
this year, and I did apply to a few schools in the US, and I did get through. But I don't know. The world situation kind of seems like it's a mess, a little bit of a mess.
Yeah, it's
So
so difficult to know what's going to happen, isn't it?
yeah. So I guess
Mm.
I really was interested in this program in the UK. It was a master's in clinical health psychology, which
Uh-huh.
studied, like how psychological, strategies can help with physical problems and vice versa. Yeah, and I wanted to do that, but I don't think it's possible this year. So maybe next year.
Mhm.
But for now, I'm gonna be actually found a job through LinkedIn,
Oh,
um,
fantastic.
networking and everything. So yeah, going to be doing a little bit of educational consulting kind of work
Hmm.
and a little bit of marketing.
Marketing. Okay, great. And
Yeah,
that's in Calcutta, is it?
yes, it is.
Yes. Okay. So you'll be living at home.
Hmm.
Yeah. Okay. And how long is that on a contract, or will that just be for the foreseeable future?
I think yeah, for the latter, because for now, I guess I just want to learn because I am really passionate about education.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping like seeing people around me who are passionate about the same things is gonna make me want to do it more. I'm pretty excited about it. Yeah. I hope I get to do it for a while.
Yeah. Good. That's really good. And so I'm gonna one of the questions on the list I sent you was like what skills have you learned in your degree that you've used in your career? Obviously you haven't properly started your career yet, but are there any skills you think you've learned that you think will be useful in your future career? Anything specifically?
I think the main thing that I learned kind of is that psychology is basically in everything. And
Yes.
I feel like have a personality type where I get very overwhelmed easily. So studying
Hmm.
psychology has helped me, kind of build these strategies for myself to help me from getting overwhelmed. So mindfulness techniques, basically.
Mm.
are very important. I feel like journaling, a little bit of CBT I've tried on myself, but
Yes.
yeah, especially journaling, mindfulness, meditating, I feel like. And meditating doesn't have to be strict meditating, but just learning breathing exercises, learning how to challenge negative thinking, automatic thinking. I feel like these are a few like simple strategies that anybody can understand, I feel,
Yes.
that really help you out on a daily basis if you like inculcate it like into your conscience. So
Yeah.
when you feel yourself getting flustered or paranoid, you can just control your breathing. You can center yourself pretty quickly. I feel like that saves you a lot of time and a lot of time being anxious that you can put towards doing important things.
Yeah, I think that's a really important skill. Just being able to say, okay, I'm fine, and I can carry on. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Anything more sort of academic? Like, for example, I did a lot of data analysis in my degree, and I know that that's definitely served me well. So anything like that you think would be really useful?
I feel like just learning how to communicate is really important. Like I said earlier, because I was looking into even when I become a practitioner, which I'm hoping to become, I know that I won't just see one kind of client or one kind of person. So I guess
Yes.
you should try and for people in psychology, especially, you should try and like become a better communicator, like become more comfortable with accents, become more comfortable with I can't just tell you to learn another language, but I guess become more comfortable with, different ways of speaking and learn like a more like I statement kind of like vocabulary.
Yeah.
So that'll like just prepare you instantly that when you are in the field of psychology, finally, you don't have to work very hard every day, to talk to people.
Yeah, just knowing how to communicate with people from all different types of backgrounds. I think that's important in general, to be honest. I think that's something that it'd be really nice if more people made an effort to do. Yeah, that's brilliant.
I think I just wanted to talk about this. I think it was your last question on there, but about tips for like jobs and stuff, as
Oh yes.
somebody, yeah. So as somebody who just graduated college and just, job applications just felt like a giant black hole where I kept throwing my resume in and nothing came out.
Yeah,
You know?
same.
So I would really have I want to tell people who are in my position or who are looking for internships and stuff that really use LinkedIn. It's a very important resource now that everything has gone online. It will be for a while. Yes, just read up on the algorithm, read up on how it works, network with people. It really helps. Like just having your name out there. Like if you're a psychology student, even people seeing your name repeatedly makes them know you sometimes. It makes
Yes,
them
completely.
curious about you. And then the second thing is cold emails. So just make a list of companies that you would like to work with, and just make a template, write down, in three like short, succinct like paragraphs that this is who I am and this is what I want to do. Let me know if you have a position open, and just send the email out to somebody from the company. Like I know friends who have gotten jobs through that. I personally sent out a cold email like this over LinkedIn and actually got a response, and it turned out pretty good for me.
Oh,
So
good.
that's my tip to everybody who's looking for a job.
See, that's something I get really nervous about doing. Like cold calling, I could never do. Like, I'm way too sort of embarrassed to do that. Cold emailing I could possibly do, but I just feel really awkward just being like, hey, you're not even advertising, but here's my resume. But I think it is a really good idea because sometimes it also shows initiative and sort of, just really like how keen you are. It's like, I really want to work at this company, so I'm gonna email them. I think that's true. I think that's a really, really useful thing to do.
I guess I was in the same boat that I was like, okay, I don't know if I should just be sending an email. I feel awkward doing this, but
Yeah.
I kind of like put things in perspective by being like, okay, I'm anyway sending my resume out to so many people. Here, I'm just channelizing my efforts. I'm like sending it to like people who I can like be like, okay, I sent it here already. Now I don't have to keep looking.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and I think it's also important to note that you will get some people who just won't reply to you. It's just one of the things you've got to deal with. It's horrible, but you've just got to deal with it.
I was really bad at dealing with that, but I had to get used to it because I realized that that's how things are just working right now, sadly, because there's
Yeah,
such less people. So if you get a reply probably from a bot, you're lucky. But I don't
yeah,
think there are
yeah,
any
yeah.
people that reply to you right now.
Thank you for that. Thank you
Yeah.
so much. That was a really lovely interview. Thank you.